Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Wrath of the Righteous with me, Bring It Don. Now let's talk to Visily. Are you alright? Abadar willing. We'll hold out here until the army arrives. Whenever I sleep outside the walls of the Defender's heart, I'm plagued by terrible dreams. Can you help me? The priest studies your face carefully. You look tired, but otherwise entirely healthy. If we were anywhere else, I'd simply tell you to get some rest. But we're in the Board of the World Wound. I'm all too aware of what's happening to you. As you know, the wound is a rift between Golarion and the Abyss, and all the evil that feeds the Abyss does the opposite in our world. It feeds on Golarion. So it is that even when we cannot see demons near us, our ultimate foe, the Abyss, is always surrounding us. Many soldiers fighting the World Wound experience similar things. They suffer terrible nightmares, get no peace, and sometimes even lose their minds. But we're trained to help you with this affliction. By the will of Abadar, I've consecrated an altar here. God's grace permeates the space around it, soothing one's soul and quieting thoughts during rest. So if you find your nerves are fraying, seek out a holy place like this, approach it, and all the corruption will be cleansed from you. Alright, so that's the same thing. Alright, cool. Let's see if Hylor or Hilor has anything to say about Finian. It is good to see you. What can I do for you? Do you like to renew your forces with excellent fighters? Do you know anything about a Pathfinder named Finian Dismar? Hilor rubs his chin. Let me think. Dismar. I've definitely heard the name before. Of course you have. I'm a Pathfinder too. So, now you are the commander in these lands. What about Lady Ari? When I left for the wound, she had just taken up the position. Hilor examines the talking weapon and chuckles sadly. I'm afraid Ari perished in the Third Crusade. Yes, now I remember. Finian Dismar went missing in the wound at the end of the Second Crusade. His name has been on the list of the fallen for a while. Well, here I am, alive and well. Write in your list that I'm back, and soon I'll file a detailed report about everything that happened to me. Finian's voice is full of joy. I knew it was a misunderstanding. Now everything will return to normal. I need to write to my folks. They probably think I'm dead too. Hilor shakes his head sadly. Poor lad. But such is the fate of a Pathfinder. We face the unknown, but sometimes the unknown wins. Our mind cannot take it. Alright, let's see if there's anything new to say. Nope, I guess not. Alright, let's go talk to Wulff. Finish up his quest.
Psst, look, Chief. I got something to show you. Ta-da! A real beaut, isn't it?
Wulff comes closer and looks around quickly to make sure no one is eavesdropping. He makes a subtle gesture, and an amulet on a chain appears in his hand. A silver amulet in the shape of a waning moon, the dark crystal in the middle. The moon of the Abyss. So you did betray the Thieflings.
Oh, that cuts me deep, Chief. You and I saw who the traitor was. It's just that when we robbed the shop, I went in first and took what I wanted. Nothing wrong with that. Although, of course, I did think about hiding the moon and just taking myself off somewhere warm when all this blows over. But only because I want to see the world. Is it a crime to want to travel? Huh? Is that what counts for treachery these days?
Wulff is silent for a moment, and a cunning grin crosses his face. You really have the amulet this whole time.
Since that night, Chief, Melround didn't even set eyes on it. While he was dealing with the golem, I sneaked past them, and that was that.
Wulff grins, pleased. Now remind me, why is this item so important?
Do you really not remember it? Oh, I thought you would appreciate it. It's from the old man Fileman, the owner of the Ancient Trees and Wonders shop. It's the pride of his collection. The Moon of the Abyss, an amulet with a rare crystal crafted by an unknown maker. When I think of how much this thing is worth, it makes my head spin.
Wulff sighs, disappointed. You've been searched by the guards. How did you manage to hide the amulet?
Thieves have their ways.
Wulff grins. Why didn't you give the amulet to Charisme right away?
What? So she would slay me right away, you mean? You saw how antsy she was over Canabras and all this. So I did it. I took the Moon of the Abyss. But I didn't go to Erebeth, and Big Sister wouldn't hear my explanations. She doesn't have the time. I even thought I'd hide the moon somewhere, and then when all the noise had died down, I'd go get it and make a run for it. I'm sick of the thieflings, and they never appreciated me anyway.
Why did you steal the moon of the abyss? You wouldn't have been able to sell an item so rare anyway.
Why, he asks? It's expensive, pretty. And you know, it's my amulet, actually. Not meaning I stole it, but I mean, this is my inheritance. My grandma and I were poor. All we had was a jewelry box with the moon in it. She used to store it under the floor in the basement, and she'd take it out sometimes just to look at it.
Wulff puts his hands in his pocket and looks away. And then he sighs.
She was always nicer when she had a few drinks in her, so I could ask her things then. One time I asked where she got it from, and she said it was from a demon. You know, the demon who was my grandfather. He said the moon was to be passed down. My mom was good for nothing and nobody, so that's why Grandma decided to keep the amulet for me. She used to say it would be mine when I grew up. But she couldn't wait until I grew up. She squandered my inheritance when she became a drunk. Took it to Fileman's shop and pawned it. He gave her some coppers for it, and she didn't even haggle. Just grabbed them and ran back to the tavern before last orders.
Wulff scowls.
I've been going to Fileman's to look at the moon ever since I was a kid. He chased me away, but I just kept going back, so eventually he gave up. He didn't skimp on security. The place was like a fortress, so he wasn't worried about a street rat like me pinching anything. Even when I got more skilled, I couldn't get any closer to it. One day, I had no one to go with. Another day, there were only oafs who'd never stolen anything more than a church donation box. But when Charisme had planned everything out, I realized I had a chance to get the moon and move away from here. Maybe to Garand. I hear it's warmer there. I've stayed with the family for too long.
Wulff looks away again. Risking everything for some shiny trinket.
This isn't just some shiny trinket. First, maybe some rich person's just dying to buy it. We need to put out some feelers and see if anyone's in the market. Second, maybe it'll come in handy. And besides, I spent so many years looking at it. I imagine things like, what if my grandfather left something else and my grandma spent that too? Maybe I could have had my own barony already if things had turned out differently. Or got some decent education in the capital. They're all just dreams, but the moon is right here. You've got to hold on to what's yours, Chief.
You deceive the people who considered you a friend. It's not the way you treat your friends.
Family, friends. You know, some people don't believe in gods, so gods don't exist for them. And I don't believe in family. All that heartwarming talk about sticking together. Ugh. People like to say those things, but when push comes to shove...
Wulff gives you a strange look. The tip of his tail twitches.
Sister Charisme used to say that us tieflings were one family, and you see how that turned out. And did you hear that excuse for an apology? I did the right thing, and I was right to want to run when I just planned on stealing the Moon of the Abyss. Everything turned out as it should. Whatever you think, I owe you. I'm not just a thief, I have my own business selling things. Thanks to you, I'm still in the family, and we have the black market sewn up in this city. It's a good way to sell valuables.
Making sure no one is going to take the amulet from him, Wulff hides it under his shirt and folds his arms on his chest.
So, if you need anything, a scroll or something, just say the word. I have a little portal to our people in Nerosian. You put a note there, and you get what you need. I can't get you anything big, but what they do have is all high quality. Nothing's too good for you, Chief. What's mine is yours. For a price, of course.
Wulff is standing, repeatedly flipping a coin into the air and catching it. He looks bored, but the tip of his tail is twitching nervously. Noticing you, he perks up. Hey, Chief. How about letting me go? Why do you need a thief in your party? What if I rob you in your sleep? I mean, I'm not going to, for now. What if I get a rush of inspiration? Are you really staying in the party, or just waiting for a chance to run off? Wulff gives you a hurt look. As if I could. There are demons and dangers around every corner. The tiefling stops short. Don't you worry, Chief. I'll work off my debt honestly. I won't stab you in the back or go on the run with your money. If you buy my wares, I won't have to leave it all. Now show me what you can get using your tiefling connections. Wulff's face breaks into a happy grin. Look, Chief, the Thieflings have all the best things. I have a lot, though. The Quarterstaff of Slip. This +1 Quarterstaff grants its wielder a +1 confidence bonus to armor class. Gnome Hooked Hammer of Discipline. This +1 Gnome Hooked Hammer deals an additional +1 damage to chaotic creatures. Estoc of Purity. This +1 Cold Iron Estoc deals an additional 1 to 3 positive energy damage on a hit. And Monster Hunter. This +1 Dwarven Urgrosh grants its wielder a +1 bonus on attack rolls against magical beasts. Okay, well, let's go talk to Ember next.
I know the way.
The elf in front of you is young, still an adolescent by the standards of their long-lived folk. A childish, carefree smile plays on her face, and her wandering eyes linger on you for just a moment before darting off again into the distance. Terrible scars cover her body, and a few of her fingers are missing. The crow sits on her shoulder, observing you with its clever black eyes. Tell me about yourself. Well, they call me Ember. I used to live in the River City, and now I walk with you. That's my story. Why did they call you Ember? I've had many names. When I was little, Mom and Dad called me Dove, or Cricket, or Kitten. Dad called me his ray of sunshine. When my mom was cross, he called me by a long name, a grown-up one. I can't remember it, no matter how hard I try. Then, when I came to live in the River City, the good people called me different funny names, like Ember or Torch or Smoky. I don't know why. They call me Birdbrain because I have a crow. They call me Lucky 7 because of my fingers. The girl raises her hands. The middle finger on her right hand and the 2 smaller fingers on her left are missing. They sometimes call me Grilled Meat. I said I was stupid. But I didn't feel hurt. I mean, they're right. I am really silly. I really am silly. They didn't mean to hurt me. I like Ember. It's a good word. Embers are like people. On the outside, they're gray and cold like stones, but they're warm inside. You can blow on them and they'll start a fire to help you survive a cold night. And that's wonderful, isn't it? Ember it is. Where are you from? Far away, from the flower country. The girl gestures vaguely off into the distance. It's so beautiful there. Everywhere there's flowers blooming, golden towers and waterfalls. Everyone is like me, with pointy ears. There's no round-eared people, no short ones, no horned heads. We live there together, me and Mom and Dad. Mom and Dad argued a lot. Dad used to say that all the good people should go on the crusade and fight the demons. Mom said he was silly because it was so far away and none of our business, and that he shouldn't abandon his child. She meant me. But he didn't abandon me. He took me along. He said I was born the same year that the hole to the demon world opened. He said it was a sign that I would be one of the heroes who closed it. Or who close it. Of course, I'm not a hero, but I'm here anyway, helping as much as I can. Now, where did you get your scars? It happened by accident. My dad and I came sailing down the river to join the crusade. Dad said that all the good people were going to the world wound to heal it. He said that the crusaders were the best people in the world, and together we were going to win. When we arrived at the River City, the crusaders got everything mixed up. They thought my dad and I were bad, decided to burn us at the stake. Dad died, and I cried so loudly that one good night realized it was all a big mistake. He started yelling at the other crusaders, even the one in charge, and walked right into the fire and got me out. The others wanted to stop him, but he took out his sword and scared them away. The kind knight took me to a healer. I later learned that while the knight was pulling me from the flames, he himself was burned so badly that he died not long after. But I'm still alive. A few fingers missing, and my skin is funny. I've lived in the River City ever since. I never had my own house, but I had many friends. Then the demons came, and I met you, and you know what happened after that. Is it really so easy for you to forgive them? I'm not sure I could be so merciful. No one can say how much good or evil they have in them. No one can see into their own soul. Ember smiles and tilts her head. Her inquisitive look wanders over your face, as if she's trying to look into your soul. No one knows until it's time to check. Do you worship any deity? The girl shakes her head with an unfailing smile. Dad taught me to pray to Amadei. He said she was a kind goddess, and she called people to crusade against evil. The knights who burned my dad and me worshipped her too. They even lit the fire with a prayer to her, and she did nothing to help us. But then one kind knight, alone, without any gods, changed his mind and saved me. I think the gods are the same as us. They don't understand anything, and they're scared of everything, so they hurt themselves and the rest of us. People worship the gods only because they're afraid of being responsible for themselves. And the gods listen to the praise, and they become smug and arrogant, and begin to believe that they're better than us. But they're no better. They're silly sinners, just like the rest of us. Sometimes I pray to the gods. Different ones. The good ones, the bad ones. I ask them to stop. Stop fighting and hurting each other. I don't know if they ever hear me, but if they do, I mean the knight who wanted to burn me, he was able to change his mind and do a good deed. If he can change, maybe Baphomet can too. How did you survive on the streets? The elf shrugs. There are many good people in the river city. When I sang for them in the street, they'd often give me coins, or bread, or sometimes even clothes. I shared everything with the other homeless, and they showed me where it's safe to sleep, where I could get out of the rain and cold, where I could find discarded things. When the demons destroyed the river city, I looked for my friends, but I found no one. They probably all died. The homeless have no supplies or weapons or basements to hide in, and the knights won't protect them either. Knights are like gods, so self-important. They're saving the world after all. What do they care about the homeless? Still smiling, the girl shrugs. Where do your magical powers come from? These tricks? I have them from my grandma. She used to be my father's grandma, and before that, his father's. I've never seen her myself, but she's very clever and kind. When I lived on the street, sometimes she left food for me or a blanket in the winter. Sometimes I feel her stroking my hair as I fall asleep. But if I open my eyes, there's no one near. She also sent me soot. The girl scratches the crow's beak. The bird grumbles happily in response. She tells Soot how to do different tricks, and Soot teaches me. It appears that the girl doesn't know who exactly gives her these powers. You can guess from her words that her patron is Andaletta, a powerful archon, one of the Imperial Lords, also known as Grandmother Crow. Thank you for your answers. Oh, not at all. I didn't really tell you anything. You're always so cheerful. How do you manage to remain so hopeful when we're surrounded by such horror? Hope? The girl tilts her head and continues with a smile. No. Hope is a lie. What should we hope for? This world is in the hands of demons. The gods can't help. Or they don't want to. Or they forgot about us altogether. The people know they're about to be eaten by demons, but still they quarrel with each other and fight and steal. There's no hope. Only us. We have to win without hope. It will be hard. The entire abyss is against us. We can only win by some miracle. Which means we'll have to make one happen. What other choice do we have? We'll work a miracle and win, because we have to. The elf smiles broadly and nods to herself. Alright, have to go. So go. The elf watches you with a radiant smile as you leave. Alright, Nenio. Boy, I am pleased with you. I asked you to bring me to safety. That's exactly what you did. Indeed, having a follower to aid me is most efficient and frankly pleasing. With you on hand, I shall conquer new horizons, plumb the depths of knowledge hitherto unknown, and scale the dizzying heights of future discoveries. Nenio stops to catch her breath. Which I mean is, I'd like to express my deepest gratitude. I foresee immense potential in our future cooperation. Happy to help. Hand in hand, we will unravel the greatest mysteries inaccessible to the minds of ordinary people. Just imagine it. I, leading the way, proudly staring to the faces of the gods themselves, and you, my loyal follower, walking behind me every step of the way, writing down my deepest thoughts and admiring the profundity of my intellect. If we hold hands, you won't be able to go in front of me and lead the way. You're the catalyst, which, when it reacts with my intellect, will allow the latter to grasp the very essence of the universe itself. You always express your delight so effusively. Hmm? What? Who are you? Enyo stares at you for a while, bewilderment in her eyes. Then it is replaced by recognition. Oh yes, my new follower. So what am I supposed to do? Oh yes, I must provide some verbal encouragement for your as yet modest achievements, and try to induce you to strive for more of such encouragement. That is the principle that underpins any training. She frowns, only for an instant. Ah, I see. Your modest nature was unsettled by the overabundance of my gratitude. I do apologize for putting you in such an awkward position. I will never praise you again, unless I forget. Let's get back to the business at hand. Your new assignment will be to take me to the inconspicuous ruins that are located in an even more inconspicuous valley lying between Canabris and Dresden, as soon as is reasonably practicable. I'll mark the place on your map with a large red cross, so you won't forget it. What's so special about these ruins near Canabris? I'm glad you asked. This is my greatest hypothesis, my secret project. I won't pass up the opportunity to share it with you, because you're my most loyal follower, and you're worthy of possessing such knowledge. India rubs her nose, and also because you're the first person to ever ask me about it. Some time ago, I was walking around the border of the world wound, and I met a strange person. He was wearing a frayed gray robe. His face was hidden behind an odd white mask. Of course, I didn't miss the opportunity to ask him about the reasons for his absurd appearance. And do you know what he said to me? He said, I am the answer, but what is the question? And he walked off in the direction of the world wound. The next day, after I had already forgotten about the first encounter, I had another similar encounter. This time I met an elven woman, judging by the pointy ears sticking out from behind the mask. I am the answer, but what is the question, she said, before taking off toward the world wound. And then I realized, everything became clear to me. I know a mystery when I see one. Consider this one of my myriad talents. Anya rubs the tip of her nose. After all these geysers weren't simply on their way to a costume party, were they? After examining several maps, I determined that they were all heading in one direction, to a place not far from Canabris, a place which is marked as Nameless Ruins, even on ancient Sarkorian maps. Now that's where I need to go. Unraveling the secret of that place will be my greatest discovery. It will secure my place in history, or perhaps even in legend. How do you know where we have to go? You know how to find a beehive in the forest. You need to catch 2 bees, set them free in 2 different locations of the forest, and remember the directions they fly in. Then you take a map and draw lines showing the bees' routes. The place where the lines intersect will mark the location of the beehive. Fascinating, yes? By the way, forest bees do not make honey. Inyo sighs. I use the beehive principle here too. For a couple of months, I tracked the strange people in the masks and observed the direction in which they were traveling. I collected the coordinates, mapped their estimated routes, and made a discovery. All the routes intersected at the Nameless Ruins, not far from Canabris. Now, what do you expect to find there? I haven't the slightest idea. If I knew it was hidden there, I wouldn't be so eager to go. These ruins aren't very far from Canabris. You could easily go there all by yourself. Why do you need me? Enyo's eyes seem ready to pop out of their sockets in surprise. Don't you see? This is a legendary secret place. Who knows what may happen to me after I lift the veil and uncover the workings of the universe. My mortal body may be unable to contain all that knowledge. Perhaps I will ascend and become equal to the gods themselves. I need you to write down everything that happens, report my fate to the interested parties in Absalom. Don't forget to praise me, as I deserve while you're there. You know, these ruins of yours may turn out to be just that. Ruins. Inyo shrugs. In that case, we'll write this experiment off as a failure, and start another one. I don't know which experiment I'll try next. Now that's all I wanted to ask or know about your task. Well, now you know. So off we go. Inyo frowns. Did I just make a rhyme? Perhaps I discovered poetic talent in myself. Let's conduct an experiment. Quickly. Say any word and I'll try to find a rhyme for it right away. Creation. Crustacean. Cogitation. Not the best rhymes, don't you think? Well, this experiment was unsuccessful. We learned that I have no poetic talent after all. Enio sighs. But it's no reason to despair. Having a gift of poetry in addition to my inexhaustible intelligence would have been a little too much. Besides, I'm catastrophically busy and have no time to spend on writing poetry. Yeah, I don't like when you call me boy. My name is Don Quixote. On the grand scale of world history, your name is irrelevant. I have no reason to remember it. You see, the brain of any given individual can contain only a limited amount of facts. I only expend my memory on things that are truly important. The laws of thermodynamics, divine esoterica, planar geography. Things that will lead Golarion to a brighter future. Enya rubs her nose. Besides, what if I make a great discovery, but I won't be able to remember it because my memory is full of outdated or useless information? What a nightmare that would be. What a loss for the whole of Golarion. But you do remember your own name, right? Only so I know what to put for the author's name in my encyclopedia. Are there any names worth remembering? There are, and to my deepest regret, there are too many of them. Enya heaves a sigh that would befit a grief-stricken old man. The names of gods and demigods, the names of rulers, conquerors, and other persons by some reason deemed great by the people of Golarion. They etch their names into history, and alas, every self-respecting educated person must know them. But there are some names I am happy to remember. Great scientists, some of them divine, others mortal. True creepers of knowledge and great experimentalists. The pioneers of knowledge. Rory, Nethys, Arilu Vorlesh. Arilu Vorlesh opened the world wound. She's the betrayer of humanity. It's her fault the demons invaded Golarion. Oh yes, she's the greatest of the greatest. Just imagine. She managed to open a rift from Golarion to the Abyss. No one knew how. No one believed it possible. No one even dreamed of such a thing. She just did it. It was the experiment of the century. Enya wipes a tear from her eye. I would have been so happy if I could have been in her place. Of course, some part of Golarion's population died as a result of her experiment, and the Crusaders are still wrestling with its consequences to this day. But the very essence of what Arilu managed to do was a breakthrough of cosmic significance, both figuratively and literally. Sooner or later the world wound will be closed. Peace will return to Golarion. As for the victims of the ongoing war, they will be remembered as unfortunate but unavoidable sacrifices made at the altar of science. That's an interesting way to look at things, but I'm not sure the Crusaders would agree with you. Enya blinks at you, perplexed. Were we talking about something? Tell me about yourself. I'm an explorer, a pilgrim, a yet-to-be-recognized scientific luminary, a future author of the Encyclopedia Glorionica, and rector of all Absalom's universities at once. Future rector, I should say. And Enya speaks in one breath, as if reeling off a practiced monologue. Now, that information should be enough to satisfy your curiosity, because I doubt I'll be able to tell you more than that. Now, where are you from? That information is irrelevant. I've decided to forget it. How did you become a scientist? Same as before? You have a circle tattooed on your shoulder. What does it mean? Enya casts a sidelong glance at her shoulder. Oh, that. I do not remember the circumstances of its creation, but I like it. I prefer to think of it as a zero, null, nothing. A center point, an origin of coordinates. Reminds me how much of the unknown the world there is to explore. Don't you remember how you got this tattoo? Nope, same as before. How can you just decide to forget important pieces of information? This is just one of my many talents. The secret is to stop thinking about the thing you want to forget. And the main thing is to not remember anything you don't need. To filter it. Get right to the essence. I'll teach you someday, unless I forget. What is this encyclopedia you're working on? Encyclopedia Glorionica will be published in 100 volumes, 1,000 pages each, plus the author's addenda, appendices added by future co-authors, and critical commentaries. Addenda indexation is still in question. Enya looks slightly embarrassed. I just like the number 100, but I'm not sure that I'll be able to keep within the established word limit. It'll be a magisterial piece of scholarship that'll become a part of the mandatory curriculum of every educational institution worth mentioning. In it, I intend to describe every object, item, event, fact, and personality that is present on, or at least somehow related to Golarion. My calculations show that I have completed no more than 1% of this monumental book. You remember your parents, your past, or is all that irrelevant too? All of it is irrelevant on the grand scale of world history. I have no reason to remember such things. You know what? I admire the capabilities of your memory. Nino stays silent and gives you a puzzled look. What? What were we talking about? I'll stop torturing you with questions for now. What were we talking about? I'd like to clarify a few things about your new task. Your craving for knowledge will be immediately satisfied. Ask away. That's it. I have to go. Nino produces a crumpled piece of paper from her sleeve. Takes some notes on it. This conversation lasted approximately 5 minutes. She lifts her chin. By the way, do you know that is the exact amount of time the Inquisitors of Canabras need to find a defendant guilty? But to shake off Inquisitors chasing you takes 5 times as long. That experiment proved that running while clad in heavy armor is not burdensome for them at all. Alright. I think we're all caught up with all the conversating. So I am going to call it here. Off camera, I think I'm going to go back through all the merchants and see if there's anything worth buying. I might just hold on to my money for now. And the next one we will head... Actually, yeah, no, wait. I need to take care of some spells and stuff. We'll do some micromanagement off camera. Actually, that's going to take care of it. While I'm thinking about it. She knows it, but she can't memorize it. That's fine. I guess that works. I guess another bless would be fine. Alright, I think we're all set. So the next one we'll probably head straight out and go to whatever was south of the market square, now that we've opened up that path. But for now, thanks for watching, and up to you guys in the next one.